Hey guys, we're at Seal Beach. I think that might be like Santa Monica, way off in the distance. I've surfed here. Just a beautiful spot to go to travel to if you're not from paradise, I guess, which I'm not. I traveled here, and this is the Blix Travel model. Not to be confused with the Vika Plus. That means folding. The Plus, it's a little bit more powerful, 350 watt internally geared hub motor versus 250 watt front motor. You know, and it's interesting because the battery design is actually very similar. So SpinTech, that's like their in-house brand. It's just shorter. And the founder, Pontus, he's on a phone call right now, but he was telling me that the batteries are interchangeable. So if you wanted a higher capacity pack, you can use that one. Maybe you have one of each of these bikes. It's just that it will stick up a little bit more. Seat won't be able to go all the way down. This is 440 millimeters, so the seat does go fairly high. You got the telescoping stem, basically the same stem we had over there. Feels pretty stable, very similar folding mechanisms all around the bike. It's just that this one has 16-inch wheels versus 20, so it brings the frame closer to the ground. It makes it smaller when you actually fold it up and need to put it in your car or your boat or your plane or whatever the situation is. And then the front hub motor versus the rear. So 250 watts up to about 350. They say it's rated at 50 newton meters of torque versus 60 on that one. It's zippy, you know, and it has a great mechanical advantage because of the smaller wheel size. And I love that they still have reflective sidewalls on the tires. They still have an integrated headlight from Spaninga. The rear light is independent, meaning it runs on 2 AAA batteries, and you have to turn it on and off manually versus using the display panel. So it's a little bit less convenient. It's easier to forget, you know, and when you're on a lower bike like this, and even the light is mounted a little bit lower versus the rear rack on the Vika Plus, it's just not as visible. And this one only comes in one frame color, black versus cream, and then this like British green. I still think this bike's fantastic, and it is definitely lighter. That one's 49.5 pounds, whereas this one, it's like 40.3 pounds. Really lightweight, and the battery is about 4.5 pounds, so you could take that off, make it even lighter weight. It uses the very same Cadence Sensor. This is high resolution, 12 magnets, and it starts a little bit slower, even though it's high resolution. I was asking Pontus about that, and he said, well, yeah, you know, sometimes you don't want it to be too zippy, especially with like a folding bike. And, you know, this is kind of I would call it a mid-step frame, but it still has a lower standover height. Someone might get this just because they're a petite person, not necessarily because they're traveling. And it was like, we don't want to startle people. We do have the trigger throttle, which overrides in all levels of assist. So you have a lot of control here. When you're pedaling, it feels natural and it comes on fairly smoothly. When you need power to get going, maybe you're climbing up a little hill, going up to the dock like we are here, or maybe you're going through some grass or something like that, you have that option. There's just a really good mix of control here. That's how I feel. You could even unplug the throttle if you were worried about that, because again, it's a little bit more advanced. You could bump this accidentally when mounting or folding, unfolding, and then that motor's gonna kick on. So be careful. But it's a lot less susceptible to that than like a twist throttle is, because, you know, you grab the grips. And instead, they have this Nexus grip twist shifter. Okay, so when you're changing gears, there are only 3 here, but they're all internal. So when you're pedaling along, it's not like this chain's gonna be bouncing around or falling off. And they've really gone overboard here with a plastic chain guide. Okay, plastic, so it's fairly durable, weighs a little bit less. And I was worried, like, oh, is this gonna, you know, hit the curbs or something like this and get cracked? And no, we have like a kind of a support arm in the front that protects it. The crank arms are a little bit shorter, 140 millimeters versus 170. So when you pedal, it's a little bit faster on this bike. And again, just the smaller wheels, like there's kind of like that, you know, the circus bike thing where you're on a tiny little thing. There's a little bit of that going on here, but it's not too bad. And we have mechanical linear pull brakes. These are just Tektros. They do have motor inhibitors, so they override. Anytime you pull those, it kills power instantly, whether it's throttle or pedal assist. Nice threaded metal connector points with the rubber washer to keep water out. That's really great, especially if you're by the beach and it's getting a little misty at night or whatever, foggy. And then these ones have the integrated bell, which I was surprised the Vika Plus didn't have that. But anyway, all the touch points here, it's really nice to see silver. We've got a rubberized edge, the stitched faux leather grips that match the Velo Plush saddle. We still have the flip-up design, so you can pull that battery out without having to adjust the seat height every time. I really appreciate that. And this isn't one of those seat posts that goes down and through the frame. You just rely on that support strut. And then this box here, that's actually where the controller is. So that's part of why maybe the batteries are a little bit more affordable. They do offer replacements or upgrades, which is nice, and then it's a little bit lighter weight, and by separating the two systems, maybe it's a little bit more reliable too. None of the cables are internally routed on this, but I do like the cable wrap. It just looks a little bit nicer than some of the mesh ones, maybe more durable, and it won't get pinched as easily when you unfold the bike because it's not through the frame. So there's little trade-offs here. Down to the pedals, these are plastic, Welgo, platform, plastic, you know, they flex a little bit, they're not super big. I really like the alloy pedals that you have on the Vika Plus right here. See how they're bigger and they have those metal nubs? This is definitely my preference, but again, weight and size comes into the picture here. This one's $14.99 versus $16.49. So, you know, you are paying a little bit more, but maybe it's not even about money. Sometimes it's just about the size and the weight and stuff. So I really feel like they've done a good job here making this durable. One of the other things I noticed is that when it folds, they've got this magnetic clasp here, one at the rear dropout and one at the front. So it's gonna stay folded. Hopefully it's not gonna come undone and start banging around and getting scratched and stuff. But sometimes I recommend using like a plastic bungee cable or maybe like a piece of Velcro or something. Also, they've got a kickstand here with a little bit of adjustable length. Amazing to see something like that. It's very custom because it's so short. And then you can pedal the bike. Look at that. You don't get pedal lock. A lot of times you'll see just a cheaper mid-mounted kickstand, and it does get in the way, and when you start to back the bike up, see those crank arms turn. So this thing is just durable. I mean, the chain's not gonna fall off. You do have a few gears, but you really don't need that many because of how small the wheels are. You have throttle, you have pedal assist. It's just a really nice setup all around. And I think what I might do now is jump into just how the display and stuff like that. So actually, before I do that, maybe I'll flip the saddle up, and I want to show you the battery. You just reach down here, slide it up, and remove it like that. And I feel like the frame tubing actually protects the pack pretty well. And it's got a little handle on top. There's a little charging port. The charger that comes with these Blix bikes is pretty good. It only weighs 1.3 pounds, but it puts out 3 amps. So it charges the bikes a little bit quicker than your standard charger. Normally you just have a 2 amp charger. So this is like perfect in my opinion. The size, the detachable wall side, the speed of it, it's wonderful, and you could easily put it into a bag, maybe a backpack. This bike doesn't have any bottle cage bosses, it doesn't have any rear rack accessories or anything like that, but apparently they're gonna be selling SKS plastic fenders that would attach and maybe keep you a little bit dry. So that's neat to see. I'm excited about that. And then the charging port for the battery, you know, it's up here. It's not down by the crank arms. It's not going to get in the way and get snagged or like bumped or something, and I really appreciate that. Okay, so once the battery is in position and maybe locked, do keep in mind that the key port for the battery is down here. You don't want to get that bumped or forget about it. You don't have to leave the key in when riding. You don't even have to lock the battery when riding. But when you're ready to go, you press the power button here on the battery. Then we come up to the display. There's a power button on top. Okay, it kind of boots up. 5 ticks on that battery infographic, 20% increments, and then it starts in assist level 1, so it's hot right now, the throttle and pedal assist, but it's kind of in a gentle mode. And then you can arrow down to 0. Now this is throttle only. You can see that taking off. Whoa, boy. And then if you want, you can arrow down even further, and then it loops, so it goes to the highest level of assist, which is 4. Okay, I've been riding in like 2 and 3. Which is cool. And then speed, that's current speed. If we press the power button again, it goes to average speed, max speed, odometer, trip meter, trip time, and then back to speed. Very cool. If you hold the up arrow, it turns on backlighting and the headlight. That's nice. And if you hold the up and down keys simultaneously, you can clear the trip meter, press the power button, change the backlighting on the display, 1, 2, or 3, and then press the power button again, go from miles to kilometers, so you can change your units. It's great. When you're done, you just hold the power button for a few seconds, and it jumps back, and we are ready to ride. I mean, this thing is ready to go. It's all set up. But before we do that, I'm going to turn it off and introduce you to the founder of Blix. This is Pontus. How's it going, buddy?
Hey, good.
It's nice to be out here. This is a great suggestion, like getting out to the beach and beautiful weather.
Yeah, it's pretty amazing.
Got our sunscreen on though, right? We got
right.
stay safe. Yeah. I would love to see you fold this, you know, and just give it a... Want to do that real quick?
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm going to narrate while he does it. It's already turned off. He's dropping the saddle here, and you'll notice it doesn't go quite all the way, and that's what I'm talking about. They compromised and had a longer seat post so that this can accommodate full-size people, but it doesn't have the pass-through, so that's basically as low as it can go. and then he's unscrewing the front. This is the telescoping stem. And bring it back up for a second, Pontus. You know, one of the things about this stem is you can raise a little bit, but there's a minimum insertion point stamp. And if you go beyond that, not only are you risking sort of the strength of that tube, but also the cables can get stretched when you steer. So see how I turn to the left and this cable starts to stretch? Just be aware of that. I've had that happen sometimes when I was riding. So he folds this down to the side, and then there's folding pedals. There's this locking mechanism, that's a safety thing. Undoes the middle. Kickstand stowed. Look at that. Completely folded. You made it look easy, man. This is great. And then there's the metal support arm. I believe this is steel, and it just protects the chain ring, and it stabilizes the whole bike. I think you can even, will you bring the stem up again and kind of trolley it around for a second? This is kind of cool. So who wants to carry like 40 pounds? It's really not that fun. And this one doesn't come with a bag like the Vika Plus does, where you can put it over your shoulder. So instead, you can just kind of trolley it around like this. Isn't that neat? Yeah, definitely appreciate that. And we were just at passing through downtown. We might get some lunch later or something like that. And it's the kind of thing you can just fold up and put it right next to your table. Really appreciate that. Do you want to add anything about this bike, Pontus?
I think you got it all. I would say that it's a great bike for traveling purposes, and it's a good bike to bring with you.
Do you sell those bags separately? Because that is so cool. And sometimes you get your bike wet or muddy and they won't allow you to bring it on like a train or a bus or something. And I think the bag concept is neat.
Yeah, the bag is separate, but super popular and highly suggested.
So you do sell it?
Yeah.
As separate. How much is that?
The bag is $69 if I remember it right now.
$69.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, great. Are there any other accessories besides the fenders that come for the travel?
No. You got it all with you. You got a little toolkit and a charger.
That's right. There's the cute little toolkit and then the charger and everything like that. So yeah, I like this. I mean, honestly, guys, there aren't too many really compact folding bikes like this. So this is as small as they kind of come, without turning into like some sort of. There are other things out there, but this is like actually still a bicycle, and you have gears. That's amazing, because a lot of times it's just a single speed.
Yeah. And
it's nice to be able to have a comfortable cadence, even though the crank arms are a little bit shorter. It pedals pretty well, and you do have a quick disconnect point for the motor if you do need to make some service. Both wheels, they don't have quick release, it's just nuts. So you might want to bring that toolkit with you. And you might want to stock up on 16-inch inner tubes, because if you get a flat, this is not that common, that size of tire, right?
No, exactly. It should be pretty good on that.
Do you guys sell replacement inner tubes?
We do have tubes in stock as well with the fender. So
you might want to get one of those like right away. I mean, I know how much fun it's like. Yeah, I'm gonna go riding, and then you have a flat tire or something. Yeah. Keep an eye on the tire pressure. These ones don't have puncture protective lining like the Vika Plus does. Okay, so these tires are nice. They're reflective. There probably just weren't a whole lot to choose from in that size, and so I would say, try avoid the thorns. Make sure the tire pressure's up. What's the max weight rating for this one?
On the Vika Traveler, you have 250 pounds.
That's what you have for the other ones too.
Right. Yeah,
it's
a sturdy built bike.
Yeah, for such a small bike, it's very sturdy. But if you're heavier and you have lower PSI, you can get those pinch flats. And because this wheel diameter is smaller, if you run into curbs or bumps, you feel it a little bit more. So comfort takes a bit of a back seat here to weight and then compactness. But the saddle is a little bit more, it's the Velo Plush, and it's got these rubber bumpers here. I can't think of too much more to suggest other than, this is not an off-road bike. You want to stay on the smooth stuff to keep it comfortable. And then with the battery size being a little bit more limited, this is 36 volt 8.8 amp hours versus 36 volt 11 amp hours or 17.5. You can put those bigger batteries on this bike, but the takeaway is, how far do you really want to ride this thing? It's comfortable enough, but your pedal cadence is compromised and stuff. This is all about convenience.
Right.
So that's good. Why don't we get out there and actually hop on this thing? Let's see how this works. So Pontus is going to go ahead and unfold this thing for us here. Gets those magnets unstuck. Connect at the middle. Kickstand down for stability. Raise the stem, tighten it up. That's it. He didn't even adjust the telescoping stem earlier. Maybe the last step is to raise the saddle a little bit. That's it. Great job, buddy.
Yeah.
Okay, guys, I'm going to start in pedal assist level 2 because I feel like it's pretty natural and smooth. And let's just do it. Yeah, very nice. Super quiet. And a little bit less stable because of the smaller wheel diameter, but it's doing okay. You know, and the frame feels decent. Legs are feeling pretty natural. I do notice the 140 millimeter crank arm length, like the pedal strokes are a little bit shorter, but my body position's pretty good. I'm sort of upright, comfortable, not having to lean forward or feeling too scrunched. For reference, I'm about 135 pounds and I'm 5'9" in terms of height, 5 foot 9 inches. And there's Pontus back there. I think he's like 6'1". How tall are you, buddy?
6'2", almost.
6'2" almost, ladies. And he's looking pretty comfortable on the Vika Plus. Okay guys, from here you can see the 52 tooth chainring. It's got that plastic guide so the chain won't bounce off, but really there's a single sprocket in the rear, 16 tooth, so the chain's pretty tight. It's not gonna collide with the chainstay. It's probably not gonna fall off. The crank arms are a little bit shorter, 140 millimeters, and that's because this bike's pretty low to the ground. So when you turn, you want to raise the inner pedal so you don't have a pedal strike. And I'm going to demonstrate that right now. So see if I tip, you can hear that and see that pedal kind of striking the ground. That's just something to keep in mind with smaller bikes. These 16-inch wheels are great in terms of being compact and lightweight, but again, they do change the dynamic. And if you go off the curb, there's this metal support arm that keeps the bike level when you're folding it, and it protects that plastic guide. But it's a little bit, you know, it's just low and it could hit a curb if you go off. So be a little bit sensitive to that. The front motor, because the wheel's so small, it has a great mechanical advantage. It doesn't have to be as powerful. You know, 250 watts here is decent for this size wheel, but the front wheel can spin out a little bit easier when you start. So I'm gonna pedal through, start on level 1 assist, and then I'm gonna go up to level 4, the highest. Then I'm gonna do the throttle a little bit. I definitely enjoyed that level 4. You could hear the motor more, but there's a little bit of a slow start on these Blix motors. They tend to be quiet and smooth, but just slower to start. And I think it's not because of the Cadence Sensor itself. There's 12 magnets. It's higher resolution. I think that's something they dialed in purposefully to give the bike just a more predictable, subtle feel. And you have that trigger throttle that's active in all 4 levels of assist at full power and 0. So the throttle is live at any time. This time I'm going to use the throttle to scoot around. Here we go. Okay guys, we're actually on kind of a bumpy driveway, and I love that without any fenders or racks or anything, this is a pretty quiet bike. You can hear the motor. I'm in the highest level of assist, and I'm going to use the throttle to climb this driveway, and we'll just give that a go. It's working great. Yeah, no problem. A little bit of spin out, but you know, it is a sandy driveway there. Okay, Pontus is gonna take off on the Blix Travel. There he goes. Remember, he's 6'2". And I can hear the motor a little bit when he's nearby. It's a bit more zippy than the 350 watt that we have on the full-size Blix bikes. Why don't we pull over there, Pontus, just by the cones? There we go. Not bad, man. Thank you. This is a great place to come. It was fun to check out the Travel next to the Vika Plus. By the way, Vika means fold in Swedish. Is that the language? Yeah, he is Swedish.
Yeah, that's the language.
Right, so this is really cool. I've got all the specs and stats for both bikes so you can compare the size, the weight, the standover height and everything back at ElectricBikeReview.com. Of course, have fun out there. Enjoy the sights while you're traveling, but be safe.
Bye-bye.